Well, The Mandalorian and Grogu is finally out, and we're here to talk all about it. Now, this is going to be very different than a breakdown video where we go through it plot by plot and moment by moment and all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about our top moments for sure in The Mandalorian and Grogu. It's a lot of fun, and we're going to have a great time doing that. But we're really here to talk about a lot of other things. Primarily, what does this mean for the future of Star Wars and why this film is so important for Star Wars right now, and why it's a template for the future of Star Wars. You know, when you've got to remember, we're dealing with me being an old original trilogy guy, and then has been through the prequels, of course, the sequels, and then you've got Sam and Nate, and they are sequel trilogy fans. They were brought into Star Wars during that period. And now The Mandalorian Grogu comes out, and it's a very different story. It's a very different approach towards Star Wars. And it's one that caused one of the sons to really stop and think a little bit with that. So I can't wait for you to hear this conversation with it. And if you like what you hear on this, then like this video, subscribe to the podcast, follow us, turn on those notifications, all of that kind of stuff. If you're on any of the podcast platforms like Apple or Spotify, drop us a review. That would mean a lot for us. This is the end of the series on The Mandalorian and Grogu, and then we're going to talk about some other things. But I can't wait for you to hear about this conversation. We've got a lot of fun here. So let's get to talking about what our top moments are. But before we do that, we'll talk about what one word best describes The Mandalorian and Grogu.
This is Tatooine Sons.
So we saw Mando and Grogu 3 times in 3
Well,
years.
two of us did.
2 of us did.
Yeah.
One of us isn't a real fan.
And I'm going to see it again.
We're going to
I
get
had a wedding to go to. It wasn't even my own, though. So
The ceremony was like...
that would have been news.
That would have been news.
Oh, yeah, by the way.
But we
guys,
still would have chosen to go to Mandalorian.
We went to the
instead.
movie instead of the wedding.
Right. But I'm going to be seeing it again soon with Claire. Gonna try
nice.
to at least. So that'll be 4 times. What are you thinking is like what's the amount that you're capping off at?
Well, we did
like?
12 for The Last Jedi.
I don't think this is Last Jedi levels for me.
No, it was 10 before we went to the IMAX screening.
We went to the IMAX screening and then we watched it one more time.
And then we saw it at least once more after that.
Oh.
And then I watched the director in The Last Jedi, at least the first half of it last night, and realized that it's a masterpiece.
Good movie.
I already knew it was a masterpiece.
I don't think we'll see
11 times.
I don't think we'll
12
see 11
times. No, probably not.
even though it is the highest audience rated Star Wars movie of all time on
That
our
is
In Disney.
crazy.
Disney era.
Oh, I thought
Of the Disney era.
That makes more
Of
sense.
the Disney.
That makes more
Okay.
sense.
So, all right. If you were to describe The Mandalorian and Grogu in one word, go.
I think it's the word everyone's been using, which is fun.
That's why you had to speak up first, so that we had to come
But
up
I
with a
have
new
a
word.
backup.
Okay,
No,
so
no,
it's
no,
fun.
I already had one. I swear to God, if you take mine,
Okay, so you hold your backup. It's fun. You say fun. Why do you say it's fun?
Because that's just what it is. There's no stakes. There's no big times. It's just a fun Star Wars movie to go watch. It's just a fun movie to watch.
All right. Nate?
I'd like to say optimistic for many reasons. The movie itself is lighthearted. It has some stakes every now and then, but overall, it's an easy watch. And then optimistic because it gives me hope more for where Star Wars is going, focusing back on what Star Wars needs to be.
Okay.
In at least the theaters. We'll go into that more.
We'll come back to that.
But I think just the movie itself, encapsulating everything around it and the movie, I would say optimistic.
I would say whimsical.
Whimsical.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
There's a lot of whimsy in
That's
it.
kind of
does
like
feel whimsy.
fun.
It is, but I didn't want to say fun. So,
What was your backup?
My backup, it's similar to some of the points you made in yours, but I'm going to say needed or necessary right now.
Okay.
So we'll come back to that. You elaborate more on what you were trying to say when you said optimistic, and we would talk more about that later. Just go ahead and dive into that for a second.
Because Star Wars was always meant to be for kids. That 10
Careful, that's a
between-
controversial statement.
Be careful, you'll get lit up on X if you say that. Twitter.
Because it's not like George
Light
Lucas.
up George Lucas. I don't care what you say to me or anything like that. It's the truth. That's it. It is the truth. Star Wars is for kids. There's no doubt about it.
Not all Star Wars is
Not
for kids.
all Star Wars is for kids, but Star Wars itself is for kids, especially Star Wars in the theaters. It's a big deal. Star Wars in the cinema means a lot. And it always should be something that a whole family can go to. We saw many, many different age ranges going to these movies. You and I, Dad, went to 3 separate showings with
In different theaters.
Wide range in different theaters, different states, wide range
Wildly
of
varying ages.
demographics. We had for our third showing, we had a guy probably in his upper 50s, maybe lower 60s,
Sitting right in front of us.
laughing
Hysterically.
hysteric laughing, and so excited to be seeing Star Wars in theaters, and loved seeing Grogu. And then we had like 5-year-old, 6-year-old kids or 3-year-old that walked out of our showing that was like, I love Star Wars, it's so good. And then we just have the normal casual people like your age, Dad, or Sam and I's age, that are just like, man, that was really good, I loved that. That's what Star Wars needs to be. We need to be able to have everybody go into the movie, enjoy their time, come out of it being like, that was a lot of fun, and move on with their lives. It can be important. It can be fun.
Wait,
we can
you're
talk
No,
about
this
it.
Star Wars podcast, we are not allowed to move on with our lives. This is the only
No, it
thing
has
in the
to
world.
consume your every waking moment, Nathan.
I have so many other things that I love Star Wars. That is not in doubt. But there are other things that I really like to enjoy too.
That is blasphemy.
On a Star Wars podcast, you just said
Wow.
that.
We were Star Wars.
podcast.
Do we want to remember how we were a pop culture podcast for like 2 years at one point? So
Yeah, Sam, when you talked about what your backup word, needed. Explain what you mean by that.
Yeah, Star Wars for the past 7 years has been a cameo fest or a huge impact. Everything's got to be connected, big story, all of that, right? Everything has to tie into everything else or reference something else major happening or have characters come in. And this movie wasn't that. It wasn't that, like, to the smallest degree. There were some Easter eggs, some references, some smaller characters that made a comeback, but nothing, Luke Skywalker didn't show up or something like that. Spoilers, I guess.
We're all spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not really a spoiler because I said someone doesn't show up. Anyway.
It doesn't matter because this is a spoiler podcast.
Yeah, that's true. But this movie, it was a self-contained story. I've heard many people say it. It's just like the Clone Wars movie when it came out. It's 3 episodes, basically, of whatever series it's related to in the theater. And that's it. There's nothing else to it. And that's what we need going forward. We need more Star Wars stories, like what Nathan said, where you can go, you can have a great time, and then move on because it's not impacting anything else. And it allows families with, like, second showing I went to, there was a gentleman from our church. There were 3 generations of Star Wars fans there. Yep. It was him, his son,
It's his son-in-law,
or his son-in-law, and then his grandson. Like, and he's
And they all
watched
loved it.
Mandalorian, right? But like the thing is about that movie, anyone can go see it without having had to have watched The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka or
Right.
whatever, right? Like, you can just go and have a good time,
Which is the point.
And you can later on, you can go watch a Mandalorian TV
Yeah, if
show.
you fall in love with these characters, if you've never come to a Star Wars before,
Right.
If you're mom, because mom, we've made the reason this podcast exists is because mom hates Star Wars.
She hates our conversation,
Right.
taking up the dinner table, or
Right.
whatever,
I
yeah.
mean, she's like, I can't stand Star Wars. You guys need to find some other place to talk about it. So we started a podcast, and we still talk about it at dinner. We'll talk about it at lunch today when we go
Yeah.
out, right, probably. And she'll be like, gosh, why am I doing this? But anyway, she came on Friday night to see this after we saw it Thursday night. She has never watched The Mandalorian.
I think she's watched part
maybe,
of season
but she has
one,
no
but
clue what's
nothing.
going on
No
in The
clue.
Mandalorian. She has no idea. She was able to sit there for 2 hours and 12 minutes, watch the entire movie, become invested in what was happening of it, like asking questions, getting upset when I think the moment for me that it was like, oh, she's really into this right now, not just laughing or that kind of stuff,
Like invested,
but like she was into the story was after the dragon serpent battle, the battle with Din,
Yeah.
and they escape, and they're going to the Anzellan's ship, and they get to the Anzellan's ship, and Mando recognizes what the Anzellans and what Grogu didn't grasp, and that is there's no way he's fitting into that ship, which is a funny moment.
Yeah.
And so she kind of was sitting there and she kind of laughed, and then the realization hit her that hit Din.
Right.
I'm dead.
I'm not getting off.
I'm not getting off of this. I'm saying goodbye to Grogu for the last time. That's the way he views it in that moment. You go, kid. I'm right after you, and we know he's not. And he's getting ready to basically sacrifice himself to give them time to escape. And mom is making all those same connections in that moment. And she's like, oh, no. She's sitting there. She's like, I hate this. That's what mom says when she's invested in something and it's not going the way that she wants. She's saying, she's like, I hate this. Why are they, that kind of thing. And because she thought he was going to die. That's the kind of Star Wars story movie this was. It takes your normies that I'm not even talking like Star Wars normies. I'm talking about like your general everyday normies.
And that's not a derogatory.
No, I actually think normies have a better view of Star Wars than most super fans.
You are 100% correct.
Right? And so they're able to go to bed tonight and not have to worry about Star Wars when they go to sleep. And there's people that are going to lose their mind over this all night long. What
we're saying?
Oh, just all the stuff. All the stuff that happens in Star Wars, right? They freak out about it, and they're not normies. Normies can go to this movie and really, really enjoy it and move on with their lives. And that's what Star Wars needs. Kind of tying into all of this, I was thinking about this morning. Star Wars is at a crossroads again.
That's what, yeah. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine at breakfast. Christopher, if you're watching this, there's your shout out. But but we were
he was
talking.
a Trek fan, not really a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, he's not even a Star Wars fan, but he's like, I want to hear your thoughts on the movie from like an actual Star Wars fan. But
did he see it?
No, he hasn't seen it yet. But he could, because even if he says he hasn't watched like anything coming up to this, but you could absolutely go into this movie
and watch it and be
But fine. I was telling him this movie's a paradigm shift, I think.
Okay.
It shows we're ushering in this new generation of Star Wars fans, and we're showing all the previous generation. We're not pushing out Star Wars fans like that have been around, not by any extent. I think it's just kind of like hey, we're gonna shift our focus a little bit here. We're still gonna get some projects that are gonna be the big, everything's tied in, big references to everything else. You got to have watched 40 plus hours of Star Wars content to understand what's going on.
Season where you have to have watched Rebels.
Ahsoka season 2 is going to be that, and that's fine.
And it should be.
It absolutely should, because that's how it was set up. But I think this movie's kind of like we're gonna start over, wipe the slate a little bit, and just start telling stories again in Star Wars that don't have to be connected to the Skywalkers or the Empire and the Republic. I mean, they kind of were in this, but not really. It was more just like a MacGuffin to push off the story. But this movie is a paradigm shift. It's that crossroads, and I think that it's pointing in the direction where Star Wars needs to go.
I used to help lead an organization that was internationally famous for holding massive men's events. In the early 90s, this organization was started. It grew. It started filling football stadiums all across the United States. It culminated with an event that happened at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. in 1997, where 1.2 million men gathered together on the National Mall. It was a phenomenon, right? When I went to work for this organization, that phenomenon had died down. Mm-hmm. It was gone. My biggest challenge in helping lead that organization was dealing with people in leadership of the organization and people who were a part of that movement in the 90s who could not accept the fact that we were never going to get 1.2 million men on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. again, and that was fine.
Yeah.
That's kind of where Star Wars is right now. I'm not saying you're not going to have $1 billion Star Wars movies. I think Jedi Starfighter. I do that every time.
I keep saying that too. It's not just you.
Star Wars Starfighter is going to do $1 billion.
You have Ryan Gosling in space. So yeah.
It's Ryan Gosling in space. That is the one that they're setting up as the big return to the main storyline, right? Because it's taking place like 5 years after Rise of Skywalker. It's in that it's continuing that story, right? That one will do $1 billion. You're going to see that. You're going to see other Star Wars films do what Force Awakens and Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker did. That's fine. But that's not what's going to happen. If anybody was going into The Mandalorian and Grogu with the delusions of grandeur, got a Han Solo restaurant reference in there. That this thing was going to do that kind of numbers on opening weekend, they're either a fool or they have an agenda that they're trying to tear down Star Wars. Right? Because now they can come back and say, well, it did 165 million on opening weekend and it's a flop, which is not the case. The fact is, 4 weeks ago, $80 million was the benchmark that they were projecting for this. And it's going to do $104 million on opening weekend in the US, 165, potentially 170 by the time the numbers all push themselves out today. It could potentially hit 170 million worldwide. It will make back its production budget. I don't care what anybody online says. That is a benchmark for the success of a movie on its opening weekend. I know that that's not marketing. I know that that's not other things that are going on with it, that they have to make $500 million in order to break even on this movie. I am fully aware of that. But having actually produced and led a movie marketing podcast and worked in the marketing world for films for a while, when I was meeting with the ad agencies, the marketing agencies for these companies. I actually had a conversation with the person that did an interview with the person that led the marketing team for The Last Jedi at Disney with this. I understand that Star Wars, that the opening weekend numbers needed to do what it did, and it's a success. And it's not going to do $200 million. No. It's not Avengers Endgame. It's not.
No.
The world has changed. You've got a ton more Star Wars for people to consume.
Yeah.
It hasn't been 13 years since they've seen anything Star Wars. People are saying, well, it's been the first movie in 7 years. It is. And we also got The Acolyte, 2 seasons of Andor, 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, a season of the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, all of these. Clone Wars season 7. All of these things have happened in that interim period. It's not the same. And for anybody to suggest that it is the same is agenda driven with this.
I mean, between episode 3 and then episode 7, there was some Star Wars content, but it was just Clone Wars and Rebels, I guess, at that point.
And a couple games here and there.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same.
Volume of content was much smaller, and I don't think there was the mindset around general Star Wars fans that, we should watch these animated shows. They were, at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, they were considered for kids.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, looking back, everyone's like...
They aged with their audience.
Yes.
Clone Wars aged with its audience.
So did Rebels.
Rebels aged with its audience, and that's continued.
But that said, all the content was smaller and for a smaller audience at the time. So really... between episode 3 and 7, we hadn't gotten much Star Wars content at all.
Absolutely. But the stories, the need for Star Wars right now is for them to have a win with fans.
And they did.
89%.
That's great.
Fan score.
Yeah, that's better than Solo.
On Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, it's like 20 points better than Solo.
I don't agree.
And I don't think I don't agree. I think Solo is as good. I actually think I like Solo even better.
Solo, but that doesn't make this any worse. But it is a win with fans.
Cinema score is great. Box office is going to win. with this. All of that is good. And here's the other thing that people aren't recognizing when it comes to this as a win. If this were season 4 of The Mandalorian going to Disney Plus, they would have done 8 episodes because that's the standard.
Yeah.
They do 8 every season, right? So they would have done more episodes.
Sure.
And we would have gotten other storylines and things like that. Do I think, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, do I think that this storyline was potentially a storyline in season 4? Potentially. Yes, I do. Right? I think that they took that storyline, redid it in making it into a movie with this. They would have had other storylines and things like that, but it would have cost $150 million, $160 million to make that series, that season.
Right.
They would have put it on Disney Plus. There would have been no measurable increase in Disney Plus subscribers as a result of it, which means they lost $165 million making this show.
Right.
It's the Acolyte all over again. Right? From a financial perspective.
Yeah.
Right? The reality is they're not moving the needle on Disney Plus with this show. You're not. Originally, season 1, everybody subscribed to Disney Plus to get The Mandalorian.
Of course.
Because that was Disney Star Wars on TV for the first time.
Live action.
Right. So they all subscribed. That's not what was happening this time. So they would have lost $160 million in it. This time they have a win at the box office. They make back their budget on it. They have everybody talking about that was a lot of fun. Not a pejorative. That's actually the way that you want people walking out of a Star Wars film.
No, it has to be like Citizen Kane.
Yeah, well, yeah, I get that. But they're winning. This is a win. This is a win for Disney Star Wars.
Yes.
And everyone's going to walk away from this right now. You're going to have you got 10% that are going to say this was an absolute disaster. You're going to have 10% of people saying that this is Citizen Kane.
Right.
10 of 10, best Star Wars that was ever created. And both of them are idiots and wrong. Okay. I mean, you can like it and you can dislike it, but neither one of those extremes is logical. Okay. It's somewhere in the middle, and everybody in the middle is pretty much settling in on, yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Let's do that. I'm glad we did this.
I'm glad it was a good addition to the Star Wars cinematic lineup.
What are your like? Let's talk about the film more instead of the everything around the film. Nathan,
yes,
you know we're gonna start talking top 3 moments.
Okay, cool.
From the film. Okay, we'll start.
Spoilers, obviously.
Yeah,
everything.
We've been doing that.
So. We never worry about spoilers.
Moments or like
whatever
things.
Top three, whatever
3 aspects of the film. Okay,
you make your own rules.
Well, first, something I was excited.
Just do one, and then we'll go through and do them all.
Yeah, something I was excited coming into this. I guess cautiously optimistic. That became a favorite. I hope I don't steal yours, Dad.
Yeah, I think you are, but that's okay. Go for it.
Rod of the Hutt, and especially Jeremy Allen White's version of it.
It's a little different than mine.
I'm hearing that a lot, actually.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of The Bear. Great show. Love his stuff in it. So seeing him in this movie as a Hutt, I was like,
what in the world? I remember when this was leaked that this was happening. I'm like, that was a joke.
I thought it was a joke.
Jeremy Allen White's playing Rod of the Hutt. That's hilarious.
I laughed. I was like, that's funny. And then it was real. And it was like,
you're like, everybody was the same. They're like, what are we doing here?
Like Carmi? Okay.
Yeah.
But in the movie, Rada became a favorite. He
absolutely.
was an amazing character, a lot of fun, and something that can like be a lot of fun for kids.
Yeah,
to see
you have
that.
a giant muscly slug guy punching stormtroopers. Who
has a good
like
moral
that?
compass and is friends with a little tiny green thing. It's silly. It's fun. It's the Sully Mike Wazowski dynamic.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, and it works, and it's fun, and he was an awesome character. And even for adults, it's like, man, all of the stuff I know about Jabba, and then seeing his son like this,
it is funny to see Stinky the Hutt.
Exactly, and turn into that,
yeah.
and that's really cool for us. And so, I loved that.
You loved Rada.
Loved cool. Rada. It was an awesome character. I loved it.
Yeah. Nate or Sam, your name's Sam, right?
Last I checked.
Okay. Samuel the Hutt.
Yeah, that's see, there you go. Yeah,
there we go. Most people that are new to the show have no idea
where that comes from.
I do.
Well, yeah, no.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying, like, people.
They have no. You have no
Yeah,
idea.
no.
Okay.
That's okay.
Anyway.
We're going to leave it a mystery. One thing I loved about this movie, and there's one, like, moment, or like, a couple, like, shots that just really was like, all right, this is fun, was all of the practical effects, especially the puppeteering. When Grogu and the Anzellans are running around Nal Hutta, and they like all pop up behind the log, and then they're climbing the side of the building. I'm like, this is so cute. I love this. It feels
Especially
like
when they reunited with the other one.
Yeah,
and
they're like all hugging.
Hey! And they all gave a hug to each other. That was so fun.
I mean, it felt like the Muppets or Dark Crystal or something like that. And I say that in the best way possible. I adored that because that is part of the charm of Star Wars. Second to this is also the stop motion guard
you can't
droids.
have two.
It's.
two
I'm talking
things.
about the practical effects.
Okay,
That's good. Okay.
Like, and even like I don't even know what his name is, but the guy in the swamp.
You know, Grotti?
Is it Grotti? Anyway,
I don't
the
remember.
guy in the
so.
rocking chair.
Yeah.
Like, I would notice at one point when he was putting together the paste to give to Grogu, they switched to an actor wearing like gloves.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what makes Star Wars, is it feels tangible and real. And the practical effects just give it such a charm, and I'm so glad they put all that back.
It's a sandbox.
Yes.
For artists to do what they want.
And I love the fact that they brought Phil Tippett in to do all that. this
Yes.
time.
Yes.
They brought him back. I mean, this goes
You can
back
tell.
49 years to the original Star Wars and everything that happened with those. And Phil, if you remember watching the Imagineering show, where
Great show.
they talk, or no, it wasn't the Imagineering. It was Light Magic. It was Light Magic.
Yeah.
About ILM.
Yes.
And how he was originally, in that time where they were bringing out in Jurassic Park and Phantom Menace and all of these things, he was pushed out.
Yeah, they
with
favored
technology,
CGI.
and it was really hard for that whole team, to do that and then bring them back. And this was a very George Lucas feel. Like if this was 1986 and it was following up Return of the Jedi, this is what it would have looked like.
Yeah, 100%.
With it, it was awesome. I'm gonna take it a different angle with this. I'm gonna say the thing that I loved. One of the things that I loved a lot about this, and I'll come back to some others in a minute that are a little bit more in the story. I love the fact that they just said we don't need to have backstory for anybody.
I like that too.
We don't have a backstory for Colonel Ward.
No,
they didn't like go through and make like this like big story where she's explaining to Mando about, when I was with the rebellion and I was on, on Endor and all, I mean, she's, or I was part of Blue Squadron during the Battle of Scarif or, I mean, she's not, none of that. We don't know anything about that character.
Yep. And we didn't know anything going in. We don't really know anything leaving.
She can still be a villain.
I'm fine with that because
I am too.
that's what allowed the EU to be the EU. Not having all of this nailed down in every movie and backstory and all this other stuff. That's one of the reasons I love Snoke so much from The Last Jedi and all this. Snoke, we don't know. We still don't know who the freaking.
We do now.
We don't really, but we don't. We don't really know how Snoke became Snoke. We don't know what really happened with him and Kylo Ren and Luke. I mean, we got some comic stuff with that, but we don't really know anything about Snoke, and that's okay. We didn't get big exposition with when Mando was getting the, you're going to have to go rescue a Hutt named Rada the Hutt. And then Colonel Ward didn't go there and start talking about everything that happened in the Clone Wars.
Right. She said he was the son of
Nobody
Jabba.
knows. My wife, who didn't care at all, didn't need to know about everything that happened in the Clone Wars movie as backstory coming into this. And they didn't need to explain it. I love the fact that they felt comfortable enough to let those kinds of things be what those kinds of things are.
This is what the first Star Wars
Yes.
was. Obi-Wan, I've served
Fought
with your
with your dad
father
in
in the
Clone
Clone
Wars,
Wars. What's the Clone Wars?
Exactly.
We're not going to tell you. yet. And then you get cool stuff and it's explored. And now when he says that line, you're like, that's so cool. But if instead he had been like, yeah, we had to fight the separatists and there was all these droids and all this stuff, you're like, okay, cool. It takes all the mystery out of stuff.
Absolutely. Like and we got 7 seasons of the Clone Wars,
and it's
as a result of that.
Right. All because they didn't tip their hand.
Right.
Or give too much.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's one of the things. What's something else that you really loved about it?
A sequence I really liked, and this is fair, is the Grogu's world sequence. Oh, he's so much fun. Hey, you stole mine, so it's okay. We're even now. Yeah, my third one was going to be the stop motion thing. It's okay.
Right, fair enough.
But the Grogu's world sequence is amazing. Like, as soon as I started to pick up that that's where they were going to go, I got so excited. And there is one shot in particular that, when it comes out, potentially will become a wallpaper on like my computer.
I know
it's when he first, like, Grogu first walks out into the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And there's barely any dialogue in that whole sequence.
Yeah.
What did I describe that as?
You said it was like WALL-E, which is true. It really did feel like WALL-E. And I was thinking the same thing. Like, it feels like that, and because you don't need it. You get enough emotion out of it. You get enough understanding. And we've had so much time with Grogu, and we've never kind of seen him on his own.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to see that. I just loved that sequence so much. It was so much fun.
And I guess it's just like instinct for that species to be able to build little dirt huts.
Yes, I think so. And
Yodi, what are they?
Have
Yurts or something like that?
Do we know their species name?
No, just
the huts.
Oh, the hut. Oh, the little, I don't know. Igloo, dirt igloo.
yeah. It was cool.
I love that scene.
And I love the fact that it was too small.
Right.
Like,
he really tried.
Grogu couldn't, and he's like, oh. And he just covers his feet.
Yeah, whatever. With those leaves.
That's cool. Give me another one.
I mean, it's a small thing, but it got me really excited just because I thought it was cool. The Dejeric match. I just thought that was cool. Like, finally getting to see that in live action was really, really neat.
And that's a great Easter egg for super fans.
I mean, there's even...
that didn't have to be mapped out for people that don't know.
Yeah, he did the coin or whatever wasn't like, it's a Dejeric match, like the hollow chess game that you see in certain cantinas and on ships. Right. No, it's a Dejeric match, and if you know what that is,
it was like that one time when I was in Batu,
right?
like that. Yeah.
I mean, there was even a moment when one of the creatures picks up one and throws it down, and it's exactly what happens in episode 4 when they're playing hollow chess, and I love that those little Easter eggs that super fans are going to pick up on, but you don't have to fit anything else. Or you don't have to explain, and it's not going to detract from the story or anything. I thought that was a super, super cool moment.
That is awesome. I'm going to say it now because I don't want anybody to steal it. And I gave you guys 2 chances, and you haven't yet. So I'm going to...
Sure, if you say it.
It's I was saving the
best.
best.
I was saving best for last.
The Hut Slug battle.
Okay, no, I wasn't going there. We're getting...
I don't know if there's a fighting sequence in all of Star Wars, and I'm a lightsaber Jedi Sith dude.
He's about to get crucified.
I don't care. I loved it more than anything else. More than Duel of the Fates.
That's insane.
The Battle of the Heroes. The sequence in The Last Jedi.
I think you're saying this to be...
I'm not. I'm
cool.
dead serious. I loved it. I laughed so... Because it's... As a kid that always thought... I mean, I'm out there... They've said over and over again that Filoni and Favreau treat the Mandalorian like they're out in their sandbox playing with their 3.75 inch whatever action figures, right? I'm in the backyard of my house in Colorado Springs with Brandy and Jamie and Marvin playing with their Return of the Jedi set, where when he got the Jabba's throne room thing with it, there is no way in the galaxy that we would have ever thought that you would see a slug battle like that. And it was so cool.
It does feel like that when you have, like, which figures do I want to play with today? I'm going to pick Embo because he looks cool, and Mando because he looks cool.
Fight each other.
I'm gonna have a bunch of slugs punching each other, and then Grogu and this dog, they're gonna hang out.
Well, and that's the thing, because now you've got Mando and fighting Embo. Well, what are we doing with the other 2 figures in that set?
Right, that came with
which are Grogu and the dog. which I don't even remember his name and I don't care.
Yeah.
They didn't even tell us Embo's name. Do you realize
Embo's
that?
name is not mentioned once
It's
in the movie.
not. That's right.
I love that. That's more there's no backstory.
Right.
They didn't explain. Well, when Embo was during the Clone Wars, he was, he worked with Boba Fett, and you remember Boba Fett, right? From when you helped Boba Fett on Tatooine. They didn't, and the twins when they were on Tatooine. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I love it. I loved the slug battle. I love it so much. I just want like a loop of that right now.
I think I like that sequence in a whole though. Just like
the whole
different
battle
things
scene,
happening
the fight
at
was
once
awesome.
feels cool.
You guys realize that Guillermo del Toro
I heard about this.
was brought in. He was going to do a Hutt movie.
I know it was supposed to be like the Godfather for Jabba.
And it was like in discussions and then never happened. And they brought him in to talk about what he was thinking of doing with the Hutts for this, and that's I think that sequence. I think the movement stuff that they did.
Yeah,
with
I heard like
the way that they moved, the way that they battled, that kind of stuff. It was really so cool. Much.
I did like how like they would roll a lot, like that
To
was
get,
kind of
get around quicker.
Because using their tail, against
that's how
each
they would
other
fight.
while they're using. It's so cool. Anyway, third one. I loved it so much.
Third one is like, for me, personal, and it's like a couple points, couple things. Rebels ties.
Okay.
You have Zeb, of course.
Yeah,
got
that's
so
fair.
excited to
That's
see
fair.
Zeb. Got excited to see his bow staff. Amazing.
The
So
bow
cool.
rifle?
The bow rifle was
Yeah.
awesome. Seeing that in live action was a dream. It was awesome to see that. And then something that was also really exciting that we kind of just touched on, Grogu force taming an animal.
Yeah.
Which is another Rebels tie to me, because when I think of that, I think of Ezra.
I just watched that episode yesterday,
And
of
it's
when
an
he learns
amazing
that.
episode. It's so good. And it's such a crucial part of his character. And yeah, I loved seeing all of that. Love my boy Ezra. Still there. I saw somebody yesterday was like, can we talk about how Ezra is a top 5 Jedi in all of canon? And I was like,
Him and Kanan,
and then a
in my
lot of them were
opinion.
like, no, he's bottom. And I'm like, and they're like, who
You're
else can do this, this, this,
crazy.
and this? And they're like, no one.
Kanan, Ezra, and Ahsoka should be in the top 5
Exactly.
at least.
And I mean,
then there's
and
plenty- we
Ezra
could
and
figure out the other two.
Ahsoka fighting with the Force, which crazy stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really want Ezra to train Grogu, like really badly.
I want the in Ahsoka season 2. I want Ezra and Rhoda the Hutt to meet up, and I want there to be a conversation about like father like son,
Yes.
Right.
or good job of the Hutt or whatever, the whole gag with that. I also want. I mean, this won't happen like this, but I want Ahsoka and Rhoda to meet up again.
That would be really neat.
I think it could be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like a really touching,
Yes, that's what I think it could
like
be.
emotional type thing.
Look at how far we've come.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it would be fun. I mean, my joke in my head is the sequence when Padme sees Anakin again for the first
My
time.
goodness, you've grown. If Rada says that, the other half of that,
Yeah, exactly.
no, I'm not even gonna say. It. I can't. Just imagining that is a little wow, honestly. But I would also think it's hilarious.
That would be cool to see.
I gotta come up with a 0.3 now because you've all been stealing all the good stuff. I mean, Embo showing up was really cool, but that's
There's something
not
I'm surprised you haven't mentioned, because it was like on my back burner, and I was seriously considering about to mention it.
What is it?
It's no, I want to like, I can't say it for you. It's a full part. It's throughout the whole movie.
the music.
Oh, well, the score?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of thought that went when I was saying. Yeah, the score was,
What's your favorite track?
I don't know.
Easy for me. Oh,
It's between Hugo's Snack Shop or whatever, and
good.
which also Hugo Durant. It's got to be
Martin
related to
Scorsese.
Hugo
They're
Durant.
cousins.
Cousin, okay, which is cool. They didn't have to reference it.
Which is
Anyway.
Jon Favreau's character.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. Jon Favreau brings in another director in this one.
And I heard that sequence was a reference to Chef,
it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
which I didn't pick up on the first time. But yes, the score was incredible. My favorite track's probably Shikari.
That's the most common when everybody talks
It
about
was so
Shikari.
good.
I'm
I do
the
love
only
Hugo
one that
snacks.
thinks that Hugo
No,
Snack Shack.
no. I'm seeing lots of stuff on like Instagram and stuff about people loving Hugo Snack
It's so funny because like there are people on like X and stuff that are talking about how it's in the credits, and then they heard it on the the playlist or
Right.
the album, and they can't find it in the movie. And it's in both sequences.
But it's very
quiet,
faint.
but it is so quiet.
You
with
have to be looking for it, and I only noticed it the
It
second
helps
time.
that when we first saw it, or at least for you, Dad, our theater was so loud.
Oh yeah, that's that audio was
Unbearably
obnoxious.
almost.
Yeah,
It was obnoxiously loud.
Yeah.
So that helps you hear any little thing.
Yeah, the score is some of it. It felt like, you had Dave and John playing in the sandbox with their figures, and that's what Ludwig was doing with the score. He's like, I got the Mando theme. I'm gonna play around with it for 2 hours.
and I'm almost certain that he just recorded that Snack Shack one in his own studio with like all the instruments and
well,
stuff.
it says featuring other artists.
Oh,
so
does it?
it was
Probably
like
just had a bunch of friends. And
it was probably a quartet,
Let's
and they
do
were
it.
just jamming out, which I love.
Which this is a cool thing for Sam and I. Did you see that Pedro flute guy was featured a lot on the soundtrack?
I didn't
He
catch
played a
that.
lot of things. Like he played a lot of
Really?
solos.
He's
a
in
solo-
Hans. For those, explain who that is.
So flute guy for a lot of things. He's in the Disruptive Collective, which is the orchestra that Hans Zimmer uses for all of his movies and concerts and all that stuff. But he became more famous, like really viral, because during the Game Awards, like 3 years ago, he's always a part of the orchestra for Lauren Balfe, playing all the themes for the Game of the Year nominees. And what they do for the Game of the Year nominees orchestra moments is Lauren Balfe composes a medley of all the themes. So it's not like they stop and go. It's just like a 10-minute melody. And so medley. So during it 3 years ago, Flute Guy was
more
like
than that.
featured.
That's cool.
And he's very emotive when he plays. Animated. And he had like maybe 15 different instruments that he
Every
played
time it
throughout
cut back to him, he was playing
Different
some
instrument,
new weird instrument,
going
and
crazy.
going crazy at it.
And
too.
so it
and he's got
became-
big wild hair.
Yeah.
It was like
massive,
instant.
huge. So he's very popular, and
cool.
he was like the second featured solo musician on the score for Mandalorian and Grogu. He
That's
posted
really cool.
about it, and he was really cool. He's like, I can't believe that God blessed me with being able to be on this amazing score, working
That's
with
awesome.
amazing people. Super
He's
outspoken
a
about his
very
faith.
talented musician.
Very talented
Incredible.
musician, amazing dude, very kind.
That's cool.
Just awesome to see him a part of this and having
love that.
fun. He played his PVC flute in the score,
That
which was pretty
tracks.
cool.
Yeah, the score was. Yeah, that's definitely in there.
I'm trying to think of a third one myself now.
Because
Because we've talked about so many different ones.
He's getting on to us for now.
He was like, you got to be prepared with your 3 moments.
then
Well, you
before
guys are taking them,
record.
so
and he's like, you got to be ready.
That's the thing, right?
Maybe
So,
this is why we shouldn't be ready. Then you can actually be a part of it.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that I liked. I loved the fact that they allowed a bunch of the directors to be pilots on that crew that came in. I mean, obviously we saw Deborah Chow, you saw Rick Famuyiwa, that guy. I can't ever pronounce his name.
No, I can't say it. I had it in my head.
Fumiyawa.
right.
I can't do it. I can't.
We
I'm
know who
sorry.
you're referring to.
Of course, Dave Filoni.
With the
and he
hat,
had
with
his
the
hat.
space
He had the
cowboy
hat.
hat.
And I love. It was funny to see in the 3 showings that we went to the different reactions.
Caught it.
Because in the first night, Thursday night, a bunch of nerds going to Thursday preview, in IMAX. Pretty much you could tell. Pretty much everybody knew who that was. Right. The second night, I think that a lot of
It was
people
kind of like, oh.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then some groans like, oh.
even Christy knew.
Yeah, well,
your
we-
mom.
we have a picture with him.
because she
Without the hat.
Without that.
That's
a
right.
rare
We
find.
do. We have one of those rare photos without the hat.
I find it so hilarious that to like disguise himself, he just takes off the hat.
He did. Well, he did at that time, 10 years ago or 9 years ago. But then in the third showing, not a peep.
Really?
It was the busiest theater we were in, right? It was basically sold out.
Really?
on Saturday afternoon.
Best theater we were in.
It was the best theater.
Shout out Pensacola IMAX.
And it was
AMC.
it seemed like it was filled with a bunch of people that just were, oh, I heard there's a new Star Wars, let's go see it.
100%.
And so there was no reaction. But they loved the movie.
Right. It didn't detract from it
Right.
by not knowing who Dave Filoni was.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. And people have criticized him being in this as a character, and they forget that George Lucas put himself in the prequels, that Rian Johnson was in Rogue One,
Gareth Edwards
was in
Last
Jedi. This happens all the time. So
John was a major
John
character.
was a main primary
I
character.
mean, he died kind of early, but
in
still.
in Solo.
In Solo.
In
In
Solo.
Solo, he was Rio. Yeah, Rio Durant.
Why do we got to be so grumpy? I say that about Star Wars, and then
Where does this show fit in the Star Wars
Timeline?
saga, lore? Like, how does it fit?
It's
within
post.
it? No, I know,
post-season
like
3.
timeline. I know where it fits. I'm like talking about like its impact on the story in Star Wars.
there's
minuscule.
none. Which
It's fine.
I'll be honest. After the first showing, my initial thoughts, and this is this is all on me here.
Yeah, I
I
get
had
it.
wrong expectations going into
Well,
this.
yeah. I mean, everybody's been if they've been
The
following the show,
whole
they know what our thoughts were going.
Right.
in.
The whole first half of this movie, I was like, all right, when are we getting somewhere?
Yeah.
Right. And then it kind of kept going like, oh, this is
I just got to surrender to this.
this
being-
is it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a weird moment like, oh, so the trailers weren't lying. This is exactly
This
what we're
is
getting.
exactly what they told us this movie was going to be.
And it took me a while, even after the movie, to kind of come to grips with that. And then second watch, when I went into it again, knowing, all right, we're getting exactly what we were shown. I know exactly what's going to happen. Let's just have fun. It improved dramatically for me. I enjoyed it the first time too, but it took a while for me to understand this isn't going to have no impact on anything. There was even very little character growth, which you could probably have some more and it would have been okay. But I understand that it's supposed to be when season 4 of Mando comes out. If for whatever reason you're watching the Mando TV show and you didn't watch the movie, I don't know why most people would do that. But anyway, when season 4 comes out, if you watch it and hadn't seen the movie, you're not going to be lost at all. I mean, Mando will have,
You might see Rada show up.
and Mando has the Razor Crest again.
Yeah.
And I guess the
I really
disruptor
wanted to just
rifle.
say like somehow the Razor Crest returned. I'm like, please.
But
I love the way that his upgrades of it are just ripping stuff out.
Yeah.
Which makes so much sense for him.
and he kept the N1, which is cool. I like that.
Yeah, I
It's
did like how they
part-
CGI'd that in because they're like, people are going to be asking about that. They'll probably put it in there.
probably put it.
Somebody grab a clip from Phantom Menace. We're going to stick that in there real quick.
No, but it fits in where it needs to in the timeline, and then affects nothing at all major, and that's okay.
Something I want to kind of compare it with, which is just wild and completely different, but it has the same feeling of me. Like, it's great story, great movie, awesome to just enjoy, but doesn't really have a major impact outside of the characters that are inside of it. It reminds me of Fallen Order when it came out.
Okay, explain.
Fallen Order, you don't have to go into Fallen Order knowing anything about Star Wars. Everything that you need to know is explained in the
Order
game.
66.
I know some people that didn't really know anything about Star Wars, but saw the game and was like, "This looks cool." Played it, loved it, got into Star Wars.
got into Star Wars through the game.
Through the game.
Which is great.
Perfect. And you play the game, and you're like, "Okay, this is awesome! Like, really great." Spoilers, if you haven't played Fallen Order, it's been like a long time. But when you play Fallen Order, Vader showing up in the ending, Inquisitors, this is crazy, so cool. It has no impact outside of the game. The only thing it has impact on are the characters inside of it, and then the sequel, which again has no impact on anything outside of the game, but is so vital to the characters inside of it. And then I come into Jedi Survivor knowing next to nothing about the High Republic.
Oh, yeah.
And the High
yeah.
Republic
It's a real
being
tied into the High Republic, I
really
hear.
important. And I was never lost. Not
cool.
once.
The way that
If
they told that
anything,
story.
It made me more interested.
Yes, because you only get nuggets of information, but you know there's a bigger
Way bigger story.
story there that you're like, maybe
That's
I should
awesome.
learn a little more about that. Yeah.
This is what Star Wars can be and needs to be. Something that just feels fun. we're past the Skywalker saga. We've been past it. Leave it behind. It's fine.
Oof.
It's okay.
That's some strong words.
I know.
there.
I've had this argument with people before saying that Star Wars cannot exist without the Skywalker saga, and I said it has and it will.
Debate.
It has to if it's going to continue.
Then Star Wars ends.
Right.
If it can't do that, then Star Wars ends. But
If it doesn't, then Star Wars becomes Star Trek, where they have to keep going back and recasting characters and coming up with new stories,
Got a new
timelines, all that kind of stuff.
It's not going to work.
Nope.
And so every time somebody brings up that debate, I ask them, "What do you like about Star Wars?" Well, I like the mythology, the Force. I like the characters, and I'm like, can you have that without the Skywalkers? They're like, I guess you could, and I'm like, so why don't you let them? Let them do this. Let the Mandalorian and Grogu be a really awesome, fun time in the universe that you obviously really like and enjoy and love being a part of, and spending a couple hours watching a movie and enjoy that. It doesn't have to be connected to anything,
Right.
and just have fun.
Yeah.
And then move on with your life. Go see another movie the next weekend. It doesn't matter. It's okay. We're not gonna crucify you because you're not seeing Star Wars 15,000 times and having that be your life. Nobody cares. You're fine. Enjoy what you're given, and you're gonna have a great time with it.
The thing you have to remember too is, there's such a pool of Star Wars content to draw from. Just draw from that for a while, and let there be less content for now. Like, that's how Star Wars was for the longest time. You had books and stuff if you wanted more Star Wars, and you could take it, and it was great, right? But other than that, you rewatched the movies or you moved on.
Yeah, you
Right.
played some really fun games: Republic Commando, Jedi.
Right, well, I was
Knight.
talking even after,
original
like,
Battlefront,
the original trilogy. You only
Right,
have
yeah,
like,
but-
books and
yeah,
stuff.
Jedi
so,
Knight
yeah.
and
Oh, that's
original
true. That's
Battlefront.
true.
And
Yeah.
all of those things were like
So-
Dark Forces. Yeah,
Star Wars kind of needs to go back to that if it's going to ever rise to the top,
Yeah,
quote
just-
unquote.
So I don't think it's ever going to happen though, because
No,
this
no,
is
no,
the
no,
Disney
no.
era. Disney bought this. This is not George Lucas telling his stories when he feels like telling his stories. Disney bought this. They spent $4 billion on it. They've made back their money, but now it's a profit center. And all they're looking to do right now is we have to put out new content,
Yeah.
and we have to make money off of this. And that's the reality of
and
it.
if they want to do that,
It's the
can I
same-
request a new Jedi game? I really need the ending of the
it's-
trilogy.
It's kind of the same problem we're seeing with Marvel right now,
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
It's very similar. But, yeah, I agree. I think that this movie was...
and going back to what
needed
you were talking about, self-contained stories, that kind of stuff. We were watching the third time, and I leaned over to you about 20 minutes into the movie, and I'm like, this is an annual comic, right? So you've got your main explain that process, like
So, an annual comic comes annually. It's in the title, but what it is a major milestone when a comic reaches a year in its run.
okay,
An annual run, it's like that's a big deal because a lot of runs can last a year. That's great. You have to think you get one issue a month, and some don't make it that long because that's just not what the story needs. Some make it 14 issues and don't have an annual, which is fine. That's okay. But when you do get that annual mark, you do get that year-long big issue. That's a big deal because the annual issue is not really a part of what the storyline is going on in that moment. It might even confuse you as to where it takes place in the timeline. It doesn't really matter, though. You're getting a really awesome story.
it's a completely self-contained story,
Completely
though, right?
self-contained,
Okay.
larger issue, maybe 70, 80 pages. And usually the writer that's doing the main run, or maybe did the run before it, established the character or something like that. They may bring in some of the artists that were a part of it. It's just like a big celebration issue, telling a story that they want to tell, completely self-contained, not worried about the confines of the main storyline that's going on.
Which is
in the run
exactly
before.
how this movie fits with the Mandalorian
Yes.
seasons 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
We don't have anything to do with Mandalore. We don't have anything to do with the Shadow Council. We don't have really anything to do with like the broader issues with the New Republic that we had in season 3 with this. We don't have Katie O'Brien's character, and all that stuff that's happening in Coruscant with that. We don't have the cloning. We don't have any of it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's
We
fine.
didn't need it.
Leave
don't.
it in the show.
Yeah, so now they can have a season 4. This is my biggest frustration because people online, are talking about this is really just another season of it's just it's season 4 put into this.
Fine.
It's not, because it doesn't connect at all. It doesn't connect at all to what's happening in the show.
I would not be surprised if this leads into season 4. If it connects strongly to season 4, that's fine. I don't think this has been a thing for a long time, just not in our world, of a show finding its way to have a movie in theaters that feels like it's just 3 episodes of a TV show that lead into the next season. It's happened for decades. Not in our world, though. And I can say this because I have friends that are in this world. In anime, it's happened a lot.
Really?
Recently, like Demon Slayer it has a movie in a theater about once a season. And it's 3 or 3.5 or 4 episodes of it combined together that lead into the next season. It's a huge deal, and it's normal. Nobody complains the fact that that's happening. People get excited about it because they get to see it in theaters.
What a concept.
But why is it different when it comes to this?
Well, because we're used to A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi phenomenon, waiting decade plus 15, 30, I don't know how many years was it, 83 to 16 years. Right before the Phantom Menace. Then you have the phenomenon of the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, the prequels. And both of those, they ended by saying, that was it, we're not making any more. And then you don't have anything for a long time. And so that creates that momentum going into The Force Awakens, where it's like we're finally getting we actually are getting episodes 7, 8, and 9 with this. But now the world has changed. It's like we talked about. You used an illustration because we've talked about this, and you even brought it up, how, people are talking about it's got the Force, it's got all of those things that make Star Wars. And going back to Andor season 1 on this podcast, we did a whole episode where I'm like, I'm like more convinced of it now than ever before, that Andor is the highest quality story of the Disney Star Wars era.
No. Rebels still beats it for me. But
Quality.
You understand, like the quality of the story, quality of the production, quality. Let's go live action just to make you feel better.
Thank you.
Live action story of that. Like the best quality story, start to finish, of the Disney era.
It's incredible.
And I don't think it's good Star Wars because of 2 things. It doesn't tap into what makes Star Wars, which is what we talked about originally. We use the illustration of you can go to a pizza restaurant and you can get garlic cheese bread, and it may be the most amazing garlic cheese bread in the world, but it ain't pizza, right? You're not getting the same thing with it. This you don't have the Force. You don't. That's, I think, the emotional core of Star Wars is the Force and everything surrounded. Not necessarily Jedi and Sith and lightsabers and all that kind of stuff, but the Force has to be central to it.
Because even Rogue One has, with Chirrut and Baze and all that.
There's a reason May the Force be with you means something in Rogue One. Because they believe that's something, there's something bigger that's driving this
right. They may not
story.
even be users or religious of it, but they know that it impacts everything.
And so there's that element of Andor. And then the second element of Andor is you can't watch that one with your kids.
No.
And I don't have a problem with Star Wars on Disney Plus having Andor-like shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to it's not for kids, do that. But the problem with Andor is now it's become, for a large segment of the Star Wars fan population, it becomes the standard of everything. It has to be like Andor. Right. And so they look at Mandalorian and Grogu and they're like, well, this isn't like Andor. No, it's not supposed to be like Andor. This is for 7-year-olds,
right?
For 9-year-olds, for 10-year-olds. We're not going to have Bix get nearly raped in a show like that. And you can't make Andor the gold standard.
No.
You make A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi the gold standard. That's the mark you go after. With it,
which is why I said this almost feels like Return of the Jedi with all the cute puppets,
absolutely,
and all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, going back to the garlic stuff, you said something when we were driving the other day, where you used that illustration to describe The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Right.
Have you
Well,
heard him tell this yet?
no.
This is
He
hilarious.
said he was going to save it for the show. So I've been waiting.
So, we say that Andor is garlic cheese bread because it's got cheese and bread, but it doesn't have the sauce, which is the Force, right?
Right.
Well, this does have the Force. You've got Grogu and stuff. But in terms of like Star Wars and stuff, I would say this as a pizza is Little Caesars. And the reason
It's Little Caesars
I
hot
can't
and ready.
it's not bad by any means. I love some good Little Caesars every now and then. Is it the best kind of pizza? No.
Is it Sbarro? No, I'm kidding.
But
New York
you
Times.
know what it is? It's hot and it's ready and it's $6 or something, right?
$6.99.
That's what Mando is. It was fun. It was easy to watch. It wasn't connected to anything else. Is it a masterpiece in film? No. But you're not expecting that when you order Little Caesars. You're not expecting to get Chicago deep dish straight from the Windy City.
Right.
You're
And
getting-
this is not Gordon Ramsay's version of a pizza.
Yes, you're getting Little Caesars. You order Little Caesars, you get Little Caesars. You're happy with it.
Right. And do I want Gordon Ramsay's version of this?
Absolutely.
I want more Ryan Johnson Star Wars.
Oh, careful now.
I do. No, absolutely. Give me his trilogy.
I agree.
Give me his trilogy. Separate it from the Skywalker saga. Make it set in a different timeline. Thousands of years or before or thousands of years after. Let it be and let him explore the ideas in the Force.
Give him the Ninth Jedi.
And
give him that.
No, I don't even want it to be associated with a single storyline or character that we've ever seen before because that will just cause people to have problems with it. I just want
Name
that
Ryan Johnson will cause people to
and
have problems.
I sometimes you go to McDonald's to get a quarter pounder with cheese
Right.
instead of a Five Guys burger or a Red
Cole's
Robin burger. Yeah, it's different. It's a burger, but it's different, right? And you go there, and sometimes you want that kind of burger. Sometimes you're feeling sick and you need to get better, so you just go eat a Big Mac because it's got some
Cleanse
kind
your
of
system.
preservatives in it that causes you to get rid of the cold, right? And most people have no idea what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about the box office numbers already. Do you feel like overall that Disney Lucasfilm accomplished its goals by putting out Mandalorian and Grogu?
I think overall, yes. I think it was never about what a movie is usually about. It was never about massive box office numbers.
It's not about the money, Spider-Man.
And it's not about the money, it's not about the money. But it was about getting people into Star Wars. More fans for a new generation. It's been 7 years since our last movie. A lot can happen in 7 years. To think about that. Somebody that was born...
Last time Star Wars was in theaters, I had just turned 18 and was starting college.
Yeah.
This movie came out and I've been out of college for 2 years.
There were some kids that were born the year Star Wars left theaters that went to go see Mandalorian.
They saw
and
their
Grogu.
first Star Wars this Saturday.
That's it.
And
That's
they
what we're
loved
here
it.
for.
That's
They
awesome.
get to see, like you were mentioning with the guy from Full of Sith with his kid,
Oh, Brian Young.
talking about how he, didn't think much of it. Like
This guy's
he was
been
walking
in
out.
the Star Wars world. He writes for StarWars.com. He's got one of
Huge
the
into
biggest
Star
Star Wars podcasts in the world. He gets invited to the premieres, all this other stuff. And Brian went and took his son,
who was like how old?
who's
Like
now 10.
Yeah.
But this is his first Star Wars in the theater. Okay? He didn't go.
okay, he's not going to go to.
Yeah,
he's not
yeah,
going to go to
at
Rise
two?
Skywalker at 2 or
3?
3. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And Brian says he went into it with all of the way he's viewed Star Wars his entire life. And he walked out somewhat disappointed with what he experienced. And then driving home, his son starts asking questions about Rada the Hutt growing up with the dad that he didn't want to be like. And he's like, I don't know. I couldn't imagine living like that. And then talking about how scared Grogu must have been when he thought Mando was going to die. And he's having conversations with his son. And when I read the article, It was overwhelming to me because it's what I've experienced for the last decade with you guys, or plus with you guys. And Brian said, my entire paradigm of Star Wars is different after that drive home. It will never be the same again. Folks, that's why Star Wars has to endure.
Yes.
That's why Star Wars has to be the Mandalorian and Grogu, and not it has to be Andor for the rest of time. It has to be what it is today. With right now, there are kids that watched a Star Wars with their parents that are having conversations about things that they would not feel comfortable having conversations with their parents about, and this gives them a voice to have that conversation. That's why this mattered.
I mean, right after we get out of the first showing, my best friend, we met. Gosh, when were we in California? Was it
My gosh.
2017.
2017? Yeah.
Before we started the podcast.
Right. We met, we actually bonded over Star Wars. I remember sitting at the table at youth group with a couple guys I didn't know. And I was like, so you guys like Star Wars? And they just kind of like lit up and were like, oh my gosh. Right. And then we started talking. My best friend, he's like, when you get out of the movie, call me. Because he had watched it just earlier that day. And I call him, and first thing after this movie, we're talking about Star Wars and stuff. And, I ask him, I'm like, this movie must have been different for you.
Explain why.
So he just had a kid earlier this year in March. So he's a new father, which is weird for me to think about. But I'm like, this movie must have hit different for you. He's like, it really did. He's like, it was crazy. And like, he'll send me pictures all the time of him, when he was on paternity leave, sitting on the couch with his fresh newborn in his lap and watching the Clone Wars or Rebels or something. Obviously the kid's not getting anything, but it's this connection with Star Wars and being a parent and all that. And, he said this movie, he got real emotional and stuff. Like when, he thought Mando may have died, right? And Grogu was on his own and stuff. It was different for him. And so it's a beautiful thing to see Star Wars have such a weighty impact.
Yeah.
Beyond just...
And Andor does that too.
It absolutely...
But it's different.
And as much as it seems like we may have, for lack of a better term, bashed Andor.
No, it's not true. I was recommending Andor to one of your friends at lunch yesterday.
Yes, it is phenomenal. And I want more of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give me that. But it can't be everything going forward.
That gives things for our age to chew on.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. When they grow up and they eventually watch Andor, that's a chance for conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's beautiful. That's a great thing. But you can't keep putting that out and expect new kids to come in. A kid wouldn't even want to watch Andor. A 10-year-old would get bored out of their mind watching Andor.
That is exactly the thought process and ideology going on over at DC Studios right now.
Really?
We have to make things for everybody that will be a DC fan. So they start with Superman, which optimism.
It is a mainline story. Yeah.
It is wholesome as can be. And that's okay. That's great. It needs to be. So there were so many kids that went to see that are now into Superman because of it. But then you're getting Lanterns coming up here pretty soon, which is not going to be for kids. And that's okay too, because it's going to be great. You got the Batman, which is also not for kids, but it's not going to be as bad as Lanterns. It's not Superman. It's a good middle ground for some teenagers or tweens to watch it and be like, man, that was really good, and has amazing themes.
You get Clayface.
Which is
definitely not for kids.
Definitely not for kids. That one's going to be a heavy one. But you have things for everybody. And James Gunn came into this when he became co-president of DC Studios, and said, we're not going to force mature things on kids or kid things on adults. We're going to have things for everybody. If something needs to be PG-13, it's going to be PG-13. If something needs to be PG, it's going to be PG. But if something needs to be R, it's going to be rated R. And that's okay. Right. He's like, I want something for everybody here. And that's great. And DC is doing great right now. Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is going to sell insane.
Right. I still want to get that game.
I know. It looks so good. And the reviews are amazing for it.
And it's not arguably just a kid's game.
Exactly. Not just for that. There are adults that are playing it and loving it. But then there are dads playing it with their kids for the first time and are loving it. And their kids are getting into Batman.
I mean,
that's it.
Of my I feel like
Lego Star Wars.
a large part of why I like Star Wars is I grew up playing the Lego Star Wars game on the Wii an egregious amount.
Yes.
I played that thing hours till the Wii overheated and would
got a
freeze, and
warning.
it scared the crap out of me because it would make this loud buzzing noise, and the TV would freeze, and I thought I broke everything, and
Yeah,
I was
that's
going to be
old
in major trouble. But I played that game so much; it's such a part of why I love.
And then you
Star
grew up
Wars.
and played Force Unleashed and got
I didn't play
even
that
more
one.
into Star Wars.
Oh, Force Unleashed! I thought you meant the Force Awakens Lego game. Yes, Force Unleashed. Oh man, yeah,
That was huge.
incredible game.
So that's the thing that we can see through what I think Star Wars needs to start doing is
I think that
making
they-
something.
I think that they
to
are.
like from toddler age to adults have something for them to grow up with. We got Young Jedi Adventures. We got Mandalorian and Grogu.
Which we hooked
We
on
got the regular Star Wars line. We've got Andor. We've got Maul Shadow Lord, which I think is a little bit
it's
heavier, a little edgier.
I
You got
wouldn't
Rebels.
go above Andor, but
No. I'm saying like you put that a little bit above. You got Rebels, you got Clone Wars. You have something for literally every age up until adulthood to give these people something to chew on and new to enjoy.
right. So
And
you
that's
can't-
Star Wars.
You can't complain when Mando fills one of those slots that may not be directly aimed for you,
Exactly. And
but you
that's
can
okay.
still enjoy it.
Exactly. Like, I'd play Lego Batman and have a great time. I would watch some of those, like, I watched Superman. Loved it. I can enjoy those things because I remember how to have fun. But
Ooh.
there's a lot of things that people need to understand. It's not as serious. This is times for you to escape from reality. You don't need to live in it when you're enjoying these things. Just enjoy them. And don't think about the rest of the world for a little bit and then go back to it. And you're okay. And that's fine. It's not going to change your life. It's okay.
There you have it. It's interesting to think about Sam talking to his best friend who's now been married for a couple of years and has a child of his own. And Sam, as an adult, now has been in his job for over a year, has his own house and all of that. Nathan's getting ready to start his senior year at university, and all of this is impacting that their growth, their age impacts the way that they view Star Wars, and that does that for all of us. But the power of the Mandalorian and Grogu is that it has brought in millions of new Star Wars fans whose grandparents and parents brought them to the theater this weekend. And many of them weren't even alive or were just 2 or 3 years old when the last Star Wars film came out. And they've fallen in love with this galaxy just like we have. And this galaxy will endure, will live on. This franchise will endure and live on because of what happened this weekend with The Mandalorian and Grogu. It's phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey to The Mandalorian and Grogu, and now our completed journey through The Mandalorian and Grogu. We've been talking for a couple of weeks now as to what this means for the podcast after today, and we've got some things in store. We, if you know anything about us, you know that The Last Jedi is a really big deal to us. We love it. And we're going to revisit The Last Jedi and talk about some things that it'll be interesting. We're going to have a good time doing that. I can't wait for you to join us with this, for hearing our perspective on what we think is one of the greatest Star Wars movies ever made. Can't wait for you to join us next week for that. Again, like this, subscribe, follow us, turn on notifications, rate us, and review us. If you're listening to this on a podcast app, it means the world to us. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks so much. May the Force be with you.